What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in Cleveland, like cleaning up confetti, like the blue, white, and yellow confetti that fell all over Quicken Loans Arena? Don't come over here. Go back to Cleveland. Do your job, okay? Bye. Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. This is Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. We're being presented by Uneducated Network as well. Please check out both channels on YouTube. Yes, you saw the broom. It is flown away. It's back in Cleveland because there was a clean sweep for the Golden State Warriors. They came into Game 4 and defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 108-85 in an undramatic fashion. That is that has got to be, besides the Lakers and the Celtics back in 2008 when Game 6 the Celtics won by like 40 something. It felt like 40 plus. Besides that, this has been the worst ending to a finals series in that I can remember. 108-85, and it felt like it was more than that. KD triple double, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. Steph Curry goes off 37 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. LeBron James, he did what he had to do or try to do. 23 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But man, what an unclimatic ending to a good regular season, a good first round, and after that, everything went to hell, pretty much. The second round was horrible, and yes, the conference matchups were good when you talk about the series standings, 4-3, but the actual games itself were bad. So this is just another exclamation point on this pretty much bad NBA season. Let's just be honest. The way it ended, it was horrible, and it made us question, do we really have to change things up in the NBA? And I hope that Adam Silver, the commissioners, actually listen to the show. I really doubt it. But if he is, there has to be changes into our playoff system because going in, we all knew it would be the Warriors and the Cavaliers. Going in, we all knew the Warriors would beat down on the Cavaliers. One, because of the Eastern Conference, it's been weak forever now. Since 1999, let's be honest. It's been very, very weak. And the Western Conference has been the strongest conference. And we all knew Cavaliers were the best team in the Eastern Conference, but if you put that Cavs team into the Western Conference, they wouldn't be so good. Hell, they wouldn't make it to the finals, in my opinion. No, they'll still be good, but they wouldn't make it to the finals. And LeBron James had an easy task, whether it's being in Miami or in Cleveland, of facing the Eastern Conference. And it is what it is, and people don't want to see that. But we all knew the outcome, but we didn't know it would end so undramatic. I gave the Cavaliers 2 games because they have LeBron James. But then once they lost game 1, I figured the Cavs would win game 1, but they lost game 1 in that dramatic fashion. You knew that game 2 was all Golden State. Game 3, you knew it would be close, it would be tight. Golden State took that. There was no way in hell I thought it was going back to Oracle Arena in Golden State. Just the body language of the Cavaliers with the free agency looming over LeBron James. You know that he wasn't going to come out and put a full 100% effort, which he did not. 23 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds is a hell of a game for anybody else. But for LeBron James, he's on a higher standard. That was a very bad game, and he was very passive from the get-go. And the way I know how it goes is when he's throwing up shots and he's shooting a lot and he's being selfish, which is his problem. He's always unselfish. But when he gets selfish, it makes the team energized. I've been seeing for the last couple of playoff series. When he's scoring 40 plus, they're winning most of those games, most of them. But it's an uphill battle as it was. The Golden State Warriors came out and played. There's too many weapons. They're too good. But to have a lackluster performance in a game 4, which is a literally win or go home right down the street, you got to put more effort, whether you're LeBron James or the rest of the Cavaliers. LeBron James sets the tone, and I knew it was over with when Golden State had a 6-point lead after the first quarter. I was like, if Golden State's going to win the first quarter, that is their Achilles heel. The third quarter is where they do their damage, but the first quarter is usually their Achilles heel. They came out swinging, and they knew they smelled blood from the get-go. Steph Curry was hot from 3. He ended up 7 for 15 from the 3-point land. Trying to hit that 40-point mark. It's sad when in the fourth quarter, the biggest question of the day is who's going to win Finals MVP. That went to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant sealed it with a triple-double. Yes, he only scored 20 points. The first time he scored less than 25 points in any NBA Finals game. in his career. That's 14 games, and he scored 20 points, but that with a triple double. So that's the reason why he became Finals MVP for the second year in a row. Things have got to change. I don't want to hear about they cannot be beat because I saw a Houston team just last series bring these guys to 7 games. Oh, and by the way, that should have been the finals. Let's get real. Houston and Golden State. Those two are two of the obvious best teams in the NBA. That should be the finals. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's talk about LeBron's legacy. Now he's 3-6 in the NBA Finals, and look, going there 9 times is a great accomplishment. But you gotta kind of dial it down when you realize what conference he's in. He's in the Eastern Conference, where he went through Victor Oladipo, he went through the Barneys, the Toronto Raptors, and then he went through a Kyrie Irving-less Boston Celtics team that took him to 7 games. So think about that route to the finals, and that's been pretty much his route every single year, especially for the last 4 years he's been in Cleveland. He has faced nobody in the Eastern Conference. There's nobody. His biggest opponent, we're talking about the Miami Heat days, was the Indiana Pacers with Paul George and Roy Hibbert. Are you kidding me? Those were his best opponents. His only major opponent in that run he's faced was the Boston Celtics. You know, that Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, KG team and then Rajon Rondo. That was the biggest, and that was probably for a 2-year stretch. And after that, it's been smooth sailing. Now, it is not LeBron's fault. I understand that you play who you face, but at the same time, let's just be real. The Eastern Conference sucks. They've sucked. So, but LeBron James is 3-6 in the finals, and that's going to only hurt his resume a whole lot more. Now, there's a debate: would you rather him go to the finals and lose, or rather him not go to the finals at all and have that blemish not on, not have that record on, if I'm him, I'd rather go to the finals and lose because at least it tells you that every year you make it to the finals. And whether the East is weak or not, and they are weak, but it's still an accomplishment to go there that many years in a row, 9 straight years in a row to, 8 straight years in a row to the NBA finals. And LeBron now is facing retirement issues. He's facing maybe change issues. You guys know my stance. I think LeBron James is going to retire. Maybe not for good, maybe for good, but I think he takes off 1 year to see where he has because everyone is saying go this place and that place, but there was nothing more positive than getting the D-Wade and Chris Bosh in your primes and you guys talking over and going to one location. You don't have that same kind of luxury this year. You can't do that this year. So I'm wondering if he relaxes, because I want LeBron to relax for 1 year, in my opinion. I want him to get his juices flowing back for the 2019/20 season. I want him to come back for that season and to go on a team he thinks is worthy enough to beat the Golden State Warriors or, someone who can compete. But I would rather him stay in Cleveland if he comes back from retirement. I'd rather him do that. But we'll see because you never know what LeBron's going to do. We didn't figure he would go to Miami, and then we didn't figure he'll come back to Cleveland the way he did. So he's a weird guy when it comes down to these situations. So I don't know what he's going to do. But if I had to put out the most weirdest situation, I think he will retire for at least 1 year, just for 1 year, maybe. And maybe he calls it quit for real. He's getting grown. He's getting older now. Got his kids, and he's been in the league 15 years. Next season will be his 16th year, and that's a lot of mileage. So we'll definitely see. But right now, the Michael Jordan, LeBron James talk of the GOAT has got to come to an end. You can't get swept. I'm sorry. You can't get swept. Not once, but twice. The first time was understandable. Everyone's acting like San Antonio just demolished those guys. No, all 4 of those games are pretty freaking close. So yes, it was a sweep, but they're good games. And LeBron and the Cavaliers were in those games, all 4 games. This one was different. He got swept, and it was a blowout. The biggest point differential for any team, LeBron James has been the victim of the 2 best. The one against San Antonio in 2014 and the one against Golden State in 2018. So, things have got to change for LeBron James and whoever he goes to, whatever he decides to do. But let's talk about the Warriors. Hey, 3 out of the last 4 years, people are going to talk about LeBron James most of the time, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Yes, Kevin Durant made, in my opinion, a nasty decision to go where he went to, but I understood because of what LeBron James did. LeBron James has now formed that path for guys to do that. But Kevin Durant he went on a team that was built from scratch. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, those guys were built through the draft. And then they decided, well, let's just add KD. And they did that. And yes, although I do see it's wrong for the balance of power, at the same time, LeBron James has been having that same balance of power over the Eastern Conference for the last 8 years. So, I mean, people say, well, how's it look? When you take the best player from three different teams and put them on one team in the same conference, you took Chris Bosh, the best player in Toronto, you took LeBron James, the best player in Cleveland, and you went to the best players team in Miami in Dwayne Wade. So those are three Eastern Conference, or at least two conferences that you've basically taken their best player and put them on one team. That changes the dynamic of the whole entire conference. When we thought, we had the Magic and the Celtics and the Cavaliers and the Heat, and those are they're the main four guys, and even the Pistons are still somewhat in that realm a little bit. Those guys are doing some things, and then you take those guys and put them there. And now the East has been just demolished, and ever since they cannot get their shake back. And I understand that. So it's been very tough for the East to even get back to being relevant again. So, but let's talk about the Warriors. 3 out of the last 4 years, they add KD, they went back to back. He's back to back Finals MVP. This has got to be probably the greatest team together. When you add Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant, those guys. I mean, if two is off, one is on. If one is on, one is off, two are on. There's no way you can stop these guys. Oh, and you add a utility guy like Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala, who came back for games 3 and 4 and made a big presence in game 4. I believe he hit 3 3-pointers. So everyone was contributing. The young guys, Jordan Bell, the old veteran, Sean Livingston, JaVale McGee came in and started the whole, basically since game 2, and he had a big impact. So everyone helped out. David West helped out as well. I mean, he only played a few minutes here and there, but every time these guys were on the court together, it didn't matter who was on the court. They're not only great when it comes down to individual people, but as a team, we saw how dynamic they are when they're passing. We seen Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, and out of those 4 chances they had, they only won 2 because they weren't a team style of game. We saw them getting smashed by the Mavericks, saw them getting smashed by the San Antonio Spurs. That team dynamic wasn't actually there. This Warriors team are not only good, but they play great team European style basketball where the ball keeps moving. They try to find an open man. Not a lot of ISO going on. And if you do go ISO, it's usually Kevin Durant or Steph Curry doing their thing. But these guys love to pass the ball. They love sharing the ball. So, it's playing hot potato, but in a good way. How about that? So we've seen these teams come together, try and form these superstar teams. And outside of that Boston Celtics team in 2008 and through that 2011 stretch, those guys play great team basketball, but they all complement each other. But here's the thing, they're out of their primes. Golden State Warriors are in their primes and playing great team basketball because Kevin Durant could have easily come in that team and just played ISO and be called the Golden State Thunder. Get what I'm saying? He bought into the team concept. Steph Curry bought into the team concept. He knew that individual stats would go down for both guys. They knew there'd be no more MVPs unless you want Finals MVP, but no more regular season MVPs because you guys have scratched that off from your list. So it's it's tough to see the NBA go down like this, winning a game 4 and you're down 3-0 and you lay a big egg like you just did not care. You didn't care. So then we get news that LeBron James has not a broken hand, but he wound up hurting his hand pretty bad after game 1 by hitting a whiteboard or a blackboard, whatever board he wants to hit. And he came up lame in the first, after that first game, he basically said it kind of hampered his shooting. Do I buy it? Yeah, I buy he hurt his hand. Do I buy it affected his game? Not one bit. LeBron James is the biggest bully in a good way in basketball. He doesn't need the finesse game like he's shown. There's been so many times he had Steph Curry one-on-one, and if you had that Jordan killer instinct or even that Kobe Bryant instinct, you take it to the rim and you do damage and you put foul trouble on Steph Curry. So many times, yes, you want to compare him to Michael, but he's also Magic Johnson. But a lot of times that Magic Johnson takes over. I'm sorry, LeBron, there is no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on your team. There is no James Worthy on your team. You have to be Jordan-like or even Kobe-like sometimes to take over games, especially if you're in this situation. Yes, game 1 slipped by them, and he was so ticked off, and I don't blame him. But to put yourself in that kind of harm to, not fully be loaded for games 2 through 4, you got no one to blame but yourself. Uh, I would love to see the NBA do something about the playoff format. Change it up. It has to be. Adam Silver said, you know what, we'll probably take the best 8 teams from the West, best 8 teams from the East, and then we'll mix them up in the playoffs. If they did that this year, here's what you have. Number 1, Houston versus number 16, Washington Wizards. Number 2, Toronto Raptors versus number 15, Milwaukee Bucks. And we saw that in the first round. Number 3, Golden State Warriors versus number 14, Miami Heat. That'll be a great matchup. Uh, Number 4, Boston Celtics versus the number 13, Minnesota Timberwolves. I would love to see that. Number 5, Philadelphia 76ers versus the number 12, San Antonio Spurs. That will be something very interesting to watch. Number 6, the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the number 11, Indiana Pacers. We saw that in the first round. That went 7. So just imagine what we're talking about. Even Boston and even Toronto and Milwaukee. No, I'm sorry. We didn't see Toronto Milwaukee. We saw Boston Milwaukee. That's my fault. I do apologize. And in Portland, number 7 versus number 10, New Orleans. We saw that. We saw that the number 10 seed would beat the number 7 seed. And then OK City, number 8 versus number 9, Utah. And we saw that as well. And we saw the number 9 seed beat OK City, the 8 seed. So we will see some great playoffs. And how you'll go is the lesser team to win will face the higher seed. Like they do in hockey. It's just about as simple as that. If you are the lowest seed leaving around, you will face the highest seed leaving around. So let's just say that let's just say that New Orleans beat Portland and they're number 10 and they are the lowest seed to make it out to the second round. They will face the Houston Rockets, number 1 seed. It'll be New Orleans versus Houston in the second round. So they need to do that to kind of freshen it up. Because then after that, you'll probably see Cleveland probably face a Golden State team or Cleveland face, maybe Boston in the second round. So you just never know. You'll get better play. And these rich guys flying these first class planes to this and that play, it shouldn't hinder in the playoffs. I'm sorry. There's enough rest, enough time to get yourself together. So the game has to change because we're tired of seeing very poor basketball in the NBA Finals. We don't want to see that. The last 2 years now, it's been a combined 8-1 Golden State versus Cleveland. So things have got to change and change in a big way. I hope the NBA is listening. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. They are your 2018 NBA champions of the world, and I'm pretty sure they'll be back next year because Kevin Durant has said he's coming back. He is not going to resign with he's not going to sign with anybody else. He will resign with the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to do it all over again. So hopefully we have something changed by either this year or by next season or the season after that, to where the playoff format has changed to where we can all feel comfortable watching, hey, maybe the Rockets and the Warriors in the finals instead of the Western Conference Finals. Please like, subscribe to Uneducated Network and Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. As always, sports fans, you guys know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.